Isn't it so great to be together again?
Yes.
Talking in person instead of on Zoom or email, all those things that we really were grateful for while we were closed because we got so much done. But it's really nice to see people's faces. Even people's half faces are better than none, isn't it? You know, it's just wonderful. So my first duty today, I'm Kathy, I'm one of the volunteers for those of you who retired before I came, or I didn't interact with. And my first duty is to tell you about the exits, which won't be needed, but in case they ever are. You came in the west entrance exit, and we have an exit on the north side of the building next to the candy kitchen, and way in the back in the southeast corner is an exit as well. So if they're needed, you all know where to go now. I have a bunch of different things to do for you today. Mostly it's introducing other people who are going to be doing the important things. So my first job for that is to introduce Tom Pellett. He's going to welcome you today. Tom is the president of the Webster Historical Society and Museum. So, Tom?
Well, thank you very much. I'm going to go right back to my seat because Kathy just said everything I was going to say. But I too would like to welcome everybody back. It's hard to believe that in January and February of 2020, Jill and the Education Committee were able to conduct a couple of tours. We had some exhibits changed around. And of course, then along comes the middle of March and the whole world shut down. And this is our first big gathering in 17 months. But I hope you'll have an opportunity to look around after we get done in this area today and see the amazing changes that we have been able to accomplish with displays and so on. In some ways it was good that people weren't here because we could paint walls and do other things like that without having to inconvenience anybody. It would take me, Kathy's only allotted me about 1 or 2 minutes, so.
Not that you will listen to me necessarily.
Here's 5 pages of the accomplishments that we made over 2020. Obviously, I can't do those in 1 to 2 minutes. So, enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Welcome back. It's so good to see so many faces in this building. And I've missed you all, and it's good to see new faces, and it's good to see old faces. So, enjoy yourselves the rest of the afternoon, and again, great to see everybody. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Your board has been busy during closure with strategic planning, among many other things. And some of the changes that have occurred, one of them being this event today, you can see. And others you can't see, such as the air that you are breathing right now is the result of a brand new filtration system that Tom ordered.
Here, you want this?
You could have used another minute.
All right, I'm going to use 1 minute right now for something that I didn't forget about. One of the things that came out of strategic planning is more presence for the museum to general passersby and to be able to locate it. Now, as you know, there's a post down on Main Street, right near the corner. There's also one right out in front of the museum. It has a little sign underneath the big parking sign that says museum in gold letters. It's about this long, it's about this high, and I have to get my glasses in the right position to be able to see it. So what I want you to know is when you tell people about coming over here, as soon as I can get something wrangled with the village, this is what's going to go up. So they'll be on either side of the post down on Main Street and on either side of the post down here. I just picked these up, so we haven't had a chance to get them up yet. Okay, you're back on.
Another change specifically related to all of you volunteers, is that the board decided that one of the positions that we've been looking for a long time can be put in place, a volunteer coordinator. And with that statement, I'd like to welcome our new volunteer coordinator, Lisa Mcnair.
Thank you. I'm so glad you're all here today. And when I accepted the volunteer coordinator position, there was one volunteer that gave me some sage advice, that we are all volunteers. Ta-ding. Thank you, Sharon. We are all volunteers. And if you seek to wonder what do the volunteers do, what do they do, what do they accomplish, just look around you, just like Tom just said, just look around in the museum, outside the beautiful gardens, at the Webster Library exhibit case, or Hagedorn's, their cute little exhibit case as well. We're out in the community, and the community thanks you very, very much. So pat yourselves on the back. Thank you. And now for our honored guests. And this one I don't have memorized. This one is for you. And I too am going to wear my glasses. To our honored guests, time and talent you shared, nurturing us and our community. Your love of Webster is forever embedded in all we do forward. Thank you all.
Lisa's going to be ready to get us started in just a minute. But I wanted to pull up everything that Tom and Lisa have said and remind everybody that in 1970, a group of 7 people met in the house of Mr. and Mrs. John Martin, and they began the Webster Historical Society. In 1974, they had already applied to be a bicentennial town for Webster, and Webster was indeed the very first bicentennial town in Monroe County. Not only did they plan to have bicentennial celebrations, they also planned to continue preserving Webster history far beyond the 1976 bicentennial with a museum. And many of you know this one was originally in the town hall, 1 or 2 cases in the town hall that expanded, and finally the town hall kicked us out, and here we are in this building. Interesting that our very first opening of this building occurred on August 14th, 1986.
Wow, I didn't know
So
that.
today is our 35th anniversary.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
So these early folks got together and they got this museum up and running by working together, by solving problems, by gathering other people to join them, so that there weren't just 7 people or 17 people or 27 people. There were more to do the work as the museum grew and envisioned how they were going to serve their community better and better and better, which they did. We stand on their shoulders, and we stand on the shoulders of the 10 people that we are here to honor today, because they showed us how to do what we do well and what we're going to do even better in the future. So that is why we're honoring our volunteers today. Lisa is the first to come up and tell a story of the service of one of our volunteers, Peg Long.
Yes. Do you feel comfortable standing, waving? Peg Long. We thank you for being a volunteer here for 20 years.
Wow.
And Peg shared with me why she loved it so much. And the reason is, she met very interesting people. And I think we all agree with that. So Peg, have a wonderful summer and beyond. Thank you.
She'll have more time to play bridge.
Yeah, I wonder why you mentioned that, Karen.
Karen never gave that game up.
Hey,
Hey, it's the best game going. It keeps your mind sharp.
There you
Yeah,
go.
keeps your mind going.
Through it all, right, Karen?
Yep.
And our next speaker is Jan Nahokas, who will speak for us about glue.
I
and
got
Penny,
a few.
And Shirley.
So, right. So what I'm going to do is tell you about Lou and Penny together because they started, we all started around the same time at the Webster Museum, came in through the Historic Properties Committee. And if any of you know, if you watch the volunteers come, oftentimes they come and they join a group, a small group, and then they see something special that they like to do. And with Penny, it was exhibits. Right away, she linked on to working on exhibits. And as a former art teacher, she brought her talents. And we tried it many times to set up crafts and different things for children to do. And she always had those good ideas that went with the exhibits, on new exhibits and what to do. And Lou, as an educator, came to the museum after she retired. And she, Lou started on the Historic Properties Committee, but also at the same time, they both helped with everything. With the History in a Cup, they were always there. We could always count on them to help for History in a Cup. The Country Fair, the famous tea party over at the Grange. That was known as the best tea party in Monroe County. We got a note from some group in Greece and they said, we travel all over, and that was the absolute best. And Thelma Vandermilly is the one who made all the tea, so she was the star. And Thelma was involved with bringing us all together too, and working together. But pieces of gold, I call the volunteers, because we don't have any hired staff, you know, and every one of you represent to the public this Webster Museum and do a wonderful job. And Penny and Lou have done a marvelous job. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
The last one that I had was Shirley Smith. And Shirley's roots go way back. So she's a natural to be involved with the Webster Museum because she goes all back way back to the farm families, the original farm families in Webster. And Shirley was a deer bomb. And so the deer bombs, there was right across the street from me, I'm on Phillips Road, and they had 7 sisters in their family. And two sons, right, Shirley? And the 2 sons passed away, so the father was, and those girls had to pull and do it all together. But Shirley's mother was one of the deer bombs. So Shirley had a lot of history.
Myrtle.
Yep.
I lived with her.
Oh, you did. Okay, this is Karen. Anyway, Shirley's right behind you. So,
Oh, surely.
2 rows. And Shirley was a Bassage, right? So that's a
Yeah.
well-known name in Webster too. So when it came time, Thelma Vandermilly was instrumental in bringing Shirley on board the Webster Museum. And she also volunteered at many things and worked with the barn sale. I remember her coming down for the barn sale and working there too. So we thank you so much, Shirley, for all that you've done for the Webster Museum.
And our next speaker is Sharon Pratt, and Sharon is going to speak for Mary Grace and Jack Thomas and Dottie Garrett. Sharon?
Actually, I'd like to begin too with Dee Dee Niffen, who is not here today. But those of you who knew Dee Dee, a lovely woman. And she was always here, she was here with you, right, Dottie?
Yes.
Yes. And
Sister-in-law.
her granddaughter Ann, excuse me, was my first student teacher. And so I met Dee Dee long, long ago. And she was a wonderful part of the museum.
Yes.
So, when witches go riding and black cats are singing, the moon laughs and whispers, 'tis near Halloween. The most beautiful witch in Webster is right over here.
So elegant.
She was an elegant witch. She was just wonderful. And so she was always here for Christmas, for Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays, but always for Halloween and Christmas.
Thank you.
It was your favorite, right?
I
Okay.
love it.
Dottie Gear, by the way. Wave so everybody knows. Thank you so much for all you've done. So, actually you had said too that you had spent 10 years here working with Thelma, dressing the mannequins. And wasn't that fun?
Yes, yes, Thelma and Dee Dee had done it for so long.
Mhm.
I loved it.
Excellent. So we thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, the next persons are Mary Grace and Jack. And, I texted Gwen and asked her I know what I would have said, but I thought what Gwen shared was really, really good and more comprehensive. So I'm gonna read you what Gwen said. And by the way, I couldn't print this out, so here we are. Mom was on the original committee with Dick Basing, Clyde Mellinger, and a lovely couple that had their own contractor business. And I'm thinking that would be you, right? Yeah, I believe. Was it them?
The Birchers?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, long ago.
Yeah.
Linda,
long
I'm so
ago.
sorry. Yes, the Birchers, who were very instrumental in building the walls and, organizing this
Shaping the museum,
building. Yes, yes. And so the proposal was made to set up the first Webster Museum in the town hall. Mom said she had social studies students, gave them a museum assignment so that the parents had to go to the museum at night to do the homework. And that was why a whole family got into the Webster Museum. When the museum needed more space and relocated to the current location, the center and roller rink.
It's either a rec center, roller rink.
Oh, rec center, this building.
Yeah.
But this was the rec center, but it was also a car shop. This was Click's
Before that.
car,
Originally.
yes, originally
yeah.
Click's car shop. Oh dear, here we go. Mom would take her classes on field trips from Spry to the museum for a tour and research, and Dad was always with her for the museum experience. From her favorite part of the new museum was the schoolroom, where I think she has schooled us all. Yes, wonderful teacher in our schoolroom. We all love that room. On a Ward Mann, no, Mom worked at Marine Midland Bank for a while and remembered admiring the Ward Mann paintings that were always on display.
Yeah.
Anybody remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think they changed them fairly frequently. So there was always a lot. Different one every week. And she dreamed that one day she could afford a Ward Mann. She was fortunate enough to receive one as a gift from the church. And they also have a barn painting. So do you still have them?
Yes, they're both hanging in our home.
Excellent. Excellent. Yes, they're at Atria now. That's in Penfield. They've deserted Webster for Penfield. But it's a very nice place. So we thank you all, everyone, really, for all the changes that have happened and all the ideas that have come from so many people. Thank you.
And I'm lucky enough to have the privilege of speaking for Karen McDade and Bob Roloff. So Karen came to us about 7 years ago, and she spent probably her first year in this room, working with Sharon Galbraith. And she and Sharon would take in the items that have been donated, all of which have to be extensively described. They have to be tagged, and sometimes they have to be repaired before they can be, and given a number before they can be stored or displayed. So Karen was instrumental in that, and she was especially good at reading really bad handwriting.
And Webster history.
Well, yes. So eventually she had to move to the back because things got busy up here, so she and Sharon Galbraith joined us in the back. And one day, Sherry Conrad and Wynann Messing and me and Sharon Galbraith were back there with Karen. And Sharon said, does anybody know what this family name is? I don't even remember what the name is. So she said, what's this family name? And so Sherry says, well, I'm not from here, I don't know. And Wynann said, I'm not from here either, I don't know. So there were 4 of us back there that weren't from here. Karen said, but I know. And so from then on, Karen had a whole new role. She was the storyteller, and she was able to fill us in on things that we didn't know. And she continued to do that for 7 years. Karen has continued to be a storyteller. She has just recently begun writing biographical sketches of some of the people that she remembers from Webster. And those are going to be used by school children when our research liaison with the school district becomes active, when they open that up. And those children are going to use Karen's information as the beginning to learn how to do research. And so her work is going to continue on. Karen is moving to a new phase of retirement where she will enjoy playing, what's the name of that game? Bridge. Yeah, bridge, and spend more time with her friends. And the bridge and the friends she loves just as much as she loves the town of Webster. So Karen asked me to tell you what she thought about her experience here, and here's what she said. It's great to have a small museum in Webster, and I am glad to be a part of it. Volunteers here work very hard, and I appreciate that. Being a volunteer here is very educational. I have learned more and more about Webster history, and have enjoyed working with Sharon Galbraith, who has taught me a lot about the system at the museum. I have enjoyed sharing what I know about Webster history and helping to keep the memories of Webster alive. We wish you well, Karen, and promise we will call when we foreigners can't figure something out about Webster history.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I happen to be moving to Medley Square, you know, where they're putting in apartments. It's like a little village over there, and they open up in September.
Where is it, Karen?
The old Arundel Point Mall.
Around Point Mall. It's the mall, right?
Well, they've talked about Atlantic, I don't know what they probably.
So if you go online, you can see the apartments.
Yep, and they've got a rec center, they've got a fitness center, they got stores, restaurants, beauty shop, barber shop. The Wernicke Rec Center's gonna be right there. And they got doctors and everything on staff. It's gonna be really nice, it's a little village. You gotta go over there and see it because it is huge, I mean huge.
Karen, is it in the mall or beside?
No, I'm gonna be in the mall,
in the mall.
I mean inside. And where Sibley's was, there's a whole nother section of apartments that are going in there, right there.
If you
And they
drive
get
by on the expressway, you can see the
Yeah,
building.
they got a glass walkway from one building to the other.
I always like that mall anyway. I like to.
I always like that mall.
The pictures are beautiful of the apartments, I'm telling you.
Is there a
they really
theater
are.
there as well?
Pardon me?
Is there a theater there as well?
I haven't heard that, but there could be
Okay.
one being built, I don't know.
Sounds
It's like a
we have,
village all by itself.
sounds like we have a lot of nice places to find out about today among other things. So, Bob, his origins in Alaska go a long way to explain why every single Monday morning, no matter how icy, no matter how cold, no matter how miserable, no matter how you couldn't drive, Bob was here.
It was always summer, right?
I think the only Mondays he ever missed in 15 years were the ones he was actually in Alaska visiting. All the other ones he spent with us, so. And Bob, wanted you to know that he enjoyed being part of the museum group every one of those Mondays. He was very glad to be with us. Bob was one of the attic boys. That's what the gang of three that came every Monday morning went upstairs, did whatever they needed to do upstairs, looked at the whiteboard, found out what we asked them to do, did it, and then went directly for their coffee and donuts. While we all, of course, got back to work.
But they went out the back door, so we didn't know where they were.
Yeah, but we never did get our popcorn machine upstairs.
Nor your beer keg.
That you know of.
Well, when we needed a break from our work and they needed a break from theirs, we had a chance to share our lives. And that's one of the blessings of being part of the Webster Museum, is you get to share your lives. And something that is something that we're all going to remember when we all eventually retire. Sometimes we don't know how many contributions someone makes until they have moved on to other things. And even during closure, every so often you'd hear somebody say, "We're out of paper towels," or "the waste baskets are overflowing," or "the carpet needs cleaning, the shelf needs stabilizing." And we noticed that things needed fixing or mending, and Bob wasn't there to fix or mend them before we noticed, which was a big change. So Bob kept track of all our paper goods. He kept track of the cleaning supplies. He made sure the village picked up the trash. And he vacuumed as necessary between visits from the cleaning service. And by the way, Bob, I finally understand why you put the carpet sweeper in the same closet with the vacuum cleaner. Because when the vacuum cleaner decides in the middle of cleaning that it's not going to work, you get out the carpet sweeper. And it works every single time. Every single time. Several new volunteers are assuming these responsibilities. And every time we do, we're going to be thanking you for all the years you did that all by yourself. We'll be missing that special twinkle in your eye whenever you tell a story too.
Well, I enjoyed myself working here.
Good. Thank you for all the TLC you gave our House of History over those 15 years. We appreciate that. So thank you. All right, the next part of our program was Carrie Waldar, who is the young lady who, in the middle of researching, discovered that she could make contact with Ward Mann's family. And our little exhibit that was going to take place in this area has grown to 19 original paintings. We have some prints as well in the back and over by the library. And all that happened because Carrie contacted the family and they said, "Oh, we'd love to lend you this. We'd love to give you this." So we have a much bigger exhibit than we thought we would have at the time. Carrie, you know how life happens when you're making other plans? Well, that happened to Carrie today, so she's not going to be with you. Yeah. But what that means for you, she sent me what she was going to say, and I will read it to you because I'm not a Ward Mann expert. But she also has, I have a copy of the biography that she has written for our research website. And so if anyone has questions after I read this short summary of her biography, I have that to look at and help you answer those questions. So here are Carrie's words. Ward Mann was born October 3rd, 1921 in Detroit, Michigan. He was drawn to art from a young age and was talented enough to get recognized by the prestigious Scarab Club. Mann had graduated from Cass Technical High School and had begun a college degree when World War II began. He volunteered for the U.S. Army Air Corps, where he served as a navigator in the Pacific Theater. He married his wife Joan, and there they are on display. And by the end of the war was awarded the Air Medal with an additional 4 oak leaf clusters of recognition. Also awarded the Asiatic Pacific Campaign ribbon with 5 bronze stars and the Philippines Liberation ribbon with 1. Ward proceeded to earn a bachelor degree of engineering from the University of Michigan and worked first in fuel control engineering and then aircraft hydraulics, before moving with Joan and his sons, Robert, Craig, and Kim, to Webster in 1961. Ward worked at Xerox in quality assurance for the next 20 years. And by day he wore his engineer's hat, but by night he began to branch out to a part of his life that had been on the back burner. Ward began taking night oil painting classes with Dick Kane. Dick recognized Ward's talent and became both a mentor and a friend. Ward joined local art groups and soon had his first one-man show at Rochester Savings Bank downtown. Once he took early retirement from Xerox in 1982, Ward donned his artist hat full-time, as you can tell by the extent of the exhibit. And we only have a small portion of it. The family had been traveling to Rocky Neck Art Colony in Massachusetts during the summers, and Ward decided to open his own gallery there. It was a family affair with Joan managing sales and Robert, Craig, and Kim loading and unloading paintings every spring and autumn as the family traveled to each location. Although Ward maintained a winter studio in Webster, Ward, as his son says, could not get to Rocky Neck fast enough. Over the course of his artistic career, Ward Mann sold hundreds of paintings, traveled internationally with local art groups, won numerous awards from prestigious art societies, such as the Salmagundi Club, and was featured in art magazines and local newspapers. He was fortunate to live a rich life that included a devoted family, service to his country, a solid career, and of course, art. Ward Palmer Mann died on October 13th, 2005, just 10 days after his 84th birthday. He rests at Whitehaven Memorial Park in Pittsford, New York. Had he lived, he would be 100 on October 3rd. So those are Carrie's words. Pretty soon, I'm going to set you loose in the museum to enjoy the exhibit, but let me explain what's here for you to see. We have 19 of Ward's original paintings in the museum, and there are a couple of large prints behind you. You can start in this room to view Ward's paintings, the items in the cases behind you, and a slideshow which Sherry will get set up and get running in a few minutes. The slideshow contains paintings that are not here in person in the exhibit, but you can enjoy them on the slideshow.
Karen,
Yeah.
are these paintings on loan, or does the museum own them?
Good, very good question. These paintings are, 17 of them are on loan. Sorry, I should say that. 17 of them are on loan from either the family, or there are some volunteers and some friends of volunteers that loaned us some as well. There are 2 that the museum will own. One of them was given by Ward in 1977, right after the bicentennial, and that's located in the toy room. You will see that one. It's called the Minuteman. And this one here is called Rochester Junction, and that one is being given to us now by Craig Mann and his brother Kim, who loaned us all these items. Oh, I don't know about that one.
Well, I'm not sure.
Does that belong to the museum?
Yes.
Okay,
I think it's that one back there.
okay.
Barry, what does that caption say underneath that one?
This one?
Yeah,
The Physics House on Hollenbeck Street.
yes.
That belongs to us?
That came to us just recently
Oh,
because, of course, Hollenbeck Street is where Xerox started.
Right.
And it's been resting very pleasantly back in the Xerox display since we got it.
now
So
was that from the family, Tim, or?
I don't know who donated it.
Okay. We do have a number of them that were donated by volunteers and friends of volunteers, so. But anyways, for us, it's a huge exhibit. And we're so grateful to the family and to the other people who voted.
I worked with Mann, and he was an amazing man. He was very kind and just a genuine, nice guy. And Joan and Peg and I played bridge together for years.
I knew you
I've
wouldn't,
been at their house many, many times.
I knew you wouldn't leave without saying bridge one more time.
At least one more.
I was gonna get up and brag that I worked for Ward for 3 years, and then Judy worked for him also.
Yeah, all 3 of us
And
did.
the 3 of us
Yeah.
were all his secretaries.
Oh.
At one time.
Donated to the museum by Carol Saylor. Right. We have another donation, Surf on the Rocks, which is in the alcove across from the parlor, and that was donated by Carol Saylor. We also have in our library, aside from water, which if anybody is thirsty, we have some here. and we have some in the library for your enjoyment. Across from the parlor is another slideshow, different images of Ward's paintings that are not here. So you can get a good comprehensive view of Ward's work. And I know that there are many people here who either have went to school with Craig or worked with Ward or played bridge with somebody in the family. There's a whole lot of those relationships. And isn't that wonderful that that relationship persists to this day? We all have those kinds of
They had a
memories.
beautiful home, and it sat in the woods, kind of like, you know, and it was so peaceful.
Oh,
I mean, it was really,
I think
really
Craig
nice.
drove and Kim drove by when they came down to visit before the opening. You can also, there are also paintings in the toy room for you to look at. And at the end of our Main Street, there's our library, and that has a case full of prints. And across from the library is the parlor, where we have Ward's paint box, his personal paint box. And those of you that like the process of artwork might be interested in taking a look at Ward's sketchbooks, his original sketchbooks, which are on display in this room. So there is all there, there's plenty to look at. If you would like to talk to Lisa about volunteering, she's going to station herself in the gift shop. And if you're thirsty, help yourself to bottled water. In a minute, we're going to present our retirees with gifts, and then you'll be welcome to begin your exploration of the Ward Mann exhibit. But I want to show you something that you'll have to remember all the way until you leave us today. And that is that the family has donated a number of these posters to us. Whoop. Okay, so that's not going to show very well, but isn't that a beautiful image?
Yeah.
So we have these. When we open next weekend and following, those will be on sale in our gift shop, but they're not on sale today. You are invited to take one home as a complimentary remembrance of our program today. So, thank you all for coming. Enjoy continuing to visit. Enjoy your tour of the museum. And thank you so much for all the work you've done for Webster Museum. Hey, Lisa, Dan, and Sharon, you will come forward.
Miss Peg.
Go there.
Penny, this is for you.
All right, feel free to roam when you're ready.
And